Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Brimstone, entertainer, former pro wrestler, and entrepreneur extraordinaire. Please enjoy Brimstone. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Brimstone, entertainer, former pro wrestler, and entrepreneur. Welcome to the podcast.
Let me tell you, Mari, I am super excited, super stoked to be here. Finally, Brimstone has made it to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I have been super stoked and psyched because you are such a delight. I've heard your stuff. You are so delightful. And I said, I can't wait to meet her. I can't wait. And here we are.
I love it.
Here we are. We're ready to go. I am ready to go with you. So I'm yours. What are we doing?
Wonderful. Well, before we jump into the big barrel of creativity, why don't we take a couple of minutes and just let our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Fair enough. For those who are not familiar with me, I have been working under the stage name Brimstone for the last 20 plus years. I've been in entertainment though, for 40 something years. I'm feeling old now. Thank you very much. I started my career on Sesame Street and Romper Room as a child actor. Then, later on, I wound up touring the world of music. I was a drummer for many years, then professional wrestling. I'm an actor, an author, comic book character, animated character, kids book character. I've done the gambit of all that. I do, a video game character as Brimstone, mind you, of all those things. But I also do voiceover work, and I do voices for a ton of different video game characters as well as animated characters too. And I also do the Grindhouse Radio on iHeartRadio and 30 other networks syndicated. So we do that and a bunch of other shows. And, the one cool thing about everything is that we get to be creative. I am a creative person. And, one of the big things for me, especially the fact of, the whole idea of sustaining creativity is, the podcast itself is to be creative and learning about creativity is the fact is, I am always looking for the next thing that I can do and kind of throw myself into and be a part of. And everything that I have worked, which you might find interesting, you might not, but everything that I've done actually all works with each other. So it all ties in, whether it's from the wrestling into the comic books, into the foodie stuff, and so forth. And even the Grindhouse Radio, everything actually ties into it. Into each other. So it's obviously me yapping way too much. So I'll cut it at that. But it is a story in itself.
I love it. You're a very Renaissance human in that sense that you do so many things, from food to pro wrestling to comic books to voiceovers to entertainment, entrepreneur. And also, I believe I saw this correctly, that you also are a spokesperson for the Stanley Foundation. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. What do you call it? Obviously, since the world has been quiet, we haven't done much. And Stan obviously passed a couple years back. But I still do. When the world is open, I'll do the talks. Basically, it's literacy in children. What do you call it? And when I do like some of the big conventions, if they have like the Children's Day, Kids Day, I'll try to do something with them there. And it's just passing the word along. And Stan was a good friend and a fantastic person. And the Stanley Foundation is just one of those things where I'm just lucky to have been a part of it. That's what it comes down to. I'm lucky that I, became friendly with Stan and his whole crew, and they asked me, hey, you interested in this? I said, sure, why not? So he believed in me enough to have me on board on that. So that was a big thing. So I'm very proud of that.
Nice. Wonderful. I love all of these pieces and how much creativity goes into it. And I imagine the creative challenges that you also face as well. But before we dive into all of that, I'm curious to know, what does it mean to you to be creative?
It is life.
Mm,
Um, creativity is my life's blood. Without it, I would, pretty much crumple up and die. Here it is. A lot of people, especially during, and I'm sure you've heard it plenty on your show and out there during COVID, and everybody's like kind of like, oh, and I'm in my house and I'm not doing anything, and like, take that opportunity to do something and turn it into something. You always wanted
mhm.
to write a book, write a book. You always wanted to try voice acting or podcasting, try voice acting and podcasting. Get up and
Yeah.
do it. Be creative. For me, sitting at home, not being able to be out and meeting fans and doing convention circuits and filming on set. I had a couple of films that I wasn't able to go do
Mhm.
simply because of everything that's going on in the world, and a couple other voice things that I would have to been on set. I can't talk about NDA stuff, but like, things stopped. But
Yeah.
I said to myself, there's no way I'm going to let that stop me. So
Mm,
I started another show. I started doing more voice work. I started, investing more time in my social media. I invested more time with my family, which is always a wonderful thing.
mhm.
My wife may or may not be happy about that. I don't know. Uh, she seems like she's all right. We'll see what happens. At the end of the pandemic itself. But no, she's great, and it's given me an opportunity to spend more time with my kids, because obviously when the world is open, I'm not always here. I'm touring. I'm doing my
Yeah.
thing, and that's the most difficult part of what I do, is
Mhm.
because the most creativity that I have, and the biggest, and best creations I've ever made were my children. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And the love that I have with my wife. So for me, that's everything. And then, everything else comes right after that. So
mm.
being away for as much time as I've been away, it's been very difficult. So now there are things that I'm going to be doing with my kids,
Mm.
especially in the near future, that I can't talk about yet, but people will be able to see it very soon, and that's all I can say about that.
Nice. So stay tuned
Stay
and
tuned.
follow Brimstone and find
Yes,
all of the
please.
upcoming things that you'll share in the future. But
Yes.
I love that creativity is life force. I agree. For me, it really is the foundation of who I am and offers such an amazing way to live
Hmm.
life and see creativity in all areas of my life. Not
It's the
just in
spice.
performing. It
It's the
is the
spice.
spice.
People, like, and I'm sure some people out there like that. Real sweet people, great people, but they're so lame, and they've got nothing going. You try to have a conversation with them, and they can't even be creative with the conversation. So
Oh,
it's and it kills me. It kills me, because I always like to, in situations like that, I always try to, you know, uh, go down to the person's level, because I'm up here. If you can't tell, I'm up here. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Now, am I always up here? I try not to be always up here, but but if somebody's down here, I'm gonna have a conversation. But I want to bring them up with me, so I'll
Right.
sit and I'll have that conversation, and I'll try to start where they are, just a little bit above, and then start bringing them up a little bit. And by the end of the conversation, hopefully they're smiling a little bit more and having a good time. Because
Yeah.
that's it. Just be creative with what you're doing. Um, you know, there's I'm one of those people that feels, if you want to see it be, make it happen.
Mm.
Go out there
Hmm.
and do it. There's everything that I've done. If somebody said no to me, well, guess what? I'll do it myself. No problem. I don't care. It's just, and not only am I going to do it myself, I'm going to do it better than you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's when I, with certain things that I've done, which is why I've accomplished certain things that I've accomplished, just
Hmm.
simply because, if you're going to try to block my creativity, or you don't want to work with me, or if you're going to treat me in a way that is less than what I should be treated, you know what I mean? Because everybody should be treated properly and fairly
Hmm.
and well. Everybody's equal. I don't care what level I am. Everybody's
Yeah.
as equal as I am. And some people obviously don't feel that way. So, when you've got certain corporate people that, think that they're holier than thou. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? Guess what? One of those things was, when I was first getting before Grindhouse Radio, I was speaking to a bunch of different networks in my local area,
Mhm.
and people that I knew, and have kibitz with plenty of times, and see, I used the tribe word, I used a little kibitz, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Love
so I
it.
threw it in there. But I've been interviewed many times on their stations,
Mhm.
throughout the years. And and I said, hey, I'm interested in doing a series. I would love to see if we can work something out. And when I heard crickets, I said, okay, no problem. So we started, and from 2017 to 2020, 4 years in a row, we took over. We were voted best radio station on Long Island for 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
So that being said, we're also getting, when they're getting maybe a couple 100,000 listeners that tune
Yeah.
in and out, we have between 3.5 to 4 million listeners weekly
Mm.
worldwide. So I don't take no as a defeat. I take that
Mhm.
as okay, let's take 2 steps back and figure out how to take a 10 steps or a huge jump forward, and I'll
Right.
learn from those mistakes. Because one thing, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, is failure is wonderful. Failure is
Yeah.
great. And I accept it, and I love failure. And the reason for that is because these are the seeds that you utilize, and it's part of, and are part of the recipe of building that success. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You can't have success without the beans of failure. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Where do
So
you think you learned that? I just hear so much drive in you. Like when someone tells you no, okay, I'm going to do it myself. Where did you learn that strategy, or is it something you've always had?
it's kind of something that I always had. I have been told no a lot in my time. What do you call it? And I've also been told yes a lot in my time.
Mhm.
And being, the older I get, the wiser I'd like to think I get. And I've been through it all. So, and but I don't know it all. There's a big difference. I've been through it a
Yeah.
lot. I've been through it all. I don't know everything, and I'm still learning. But what I've always, my father and my mother and my father, who divorced, when I was very young. But I learned, my mother was in, a very lower class neighborhood where I grew up, and my father was living in a very high class neighborhood. You know what I mean? So I would go
Mhm.
there. So I'd have the best and the worst and the best of both worlds. And
Yeah.
I'd see the different things, and I'd see where, and I said, well, I never want to be in a position where, when I'm older, to be, and don't get me wrong, I love where I came from, and I'm
Mhm.
proud to be where I come from. I came from Uniondale, New York. I was one of the only white kids in the area, and what do you call it? And everybody treated me as an equal, which is why I treat others
Mhm.
equally. And the fact is, a white Jewish kid in an all black neighborhood, you know what I mean? y- you think about it, you go, oh my God, you must have had an awful, childhood. No, I was having the time of my life. I grew
Yeah.
up I grew up hip hop. It was wonderful, and I learned a lot. And had I grown up, with my father, and where he was, it would have been a completely different experience. And
Mhm.
what I learned from that, and learned from the divorce, and learned from my father's drive, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
is that, you just want to do better. You want to do better, and you want to be better. And my whole thing with, like, even my cast members and friends, and I said, be better. They're doing
Mm.
this, be better. How can you be better? Keep moving forward. Keep pushing harder. Because guess what? If you don't believe in yourself, and you're not pushing as hard as you possibly can, nobody else is going to care. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You have to believe in
Yeah.
yourself. What does RuPaul always say? If you can't love
Love
yourself,
yourself. How the hell is anybody else?
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Preach, RuPaul, preach.
Exactly.
So I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it just makes me think, you know, I wonder, do you see any of these as challenges, or do you just see them as opportunities?
In terms of what, the when people
When
say
someone,
no,
yeah, when someone tells you no, or creative challenges that you experience.
it is not. It's only challenging when it's something that I need to get done quick. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
Like right now I'm working on something, and I've got something brewing, which is already signed, and I wish I could talk about, but I can't. But there's a specific thing that I need taken care of for this project,
Mhm.
which is something that I'd prefer not to have to handle myself. And it's I have to get it done quickly. So
Mhm.
I would rather get a no from somebody than
Mm.
just nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's the biggest pain in the rear, is where when people, I'm a big boy. If you say no, I'm cool with that. I might, rebut that and say, well, why are you saying no? Because I am sure as hell a salesperson and a marketing person as well. So,
Mhm.
I know my value and I know my worth. So, I might ask you, well, if you don't mind me asking, what is it that's holding you back? Why would you say no? And sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. And even if they do answer, maybe I can come back and give them a reason that they're wrong. Or I can say, okay, and I learned from next time, for
Yeah.
next time. But at the end of the day, the worst thing is, and the most unprofessional thing is to just leave it unread, or to not even leave it unread, leave it seen and unresponded.
You're ghosted, being ghosted,
It is
professionally
so irritating.
ghosted.
How ridiculous is that? Now, some people are intimidated because of the persona.
Mhm.
Listen, I am a regular person, just like everybody else. Brimstone is
Yeah.
a stage name. I am here. Now, you're Jewish as well, as long as that's okay for everybody else to know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
what's my whole gimmick is a joke. Okay, my whole
Mm.
gimmick. Here's the thing: is that people are always judging and assuming. Oh, Brimstone, and he must be and his comic, and Brimstone is a character from hell, and and his wrestling persona, and he's scary, and he must be a Satanist, and so. But Jews don't believe in hell. Okay, Brimstone was a joke, but was meant to be something that it was meant to be a play on my Judaism, but
Mhm.
at the same time I wanted something that was going to be brandable, marketable, and was going to last for a long time to come. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did. I created a brand.
Mhm.
So so for me, like the worst thing for me is where people will prejudge
Mhm.
prior to actually I've had people that it's funny because you and I met on what do you call it, what was it,
Pod
pod
match.
match.
Yeah.
So for me, for pod match, the only reason why I've been going on pod match is because I'm keeping my chops up for before I go back on the road. I want to meet new people like yourself and other
Yeah.
hosts. I want to work with people. I want to, and before I go out on the road, so now that's this way. I'm not dry when I go on to NBC, CBS, ABC. You know what I mean? Fox.
Mhm.
And this way, I'm also building a network of new friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I can work with along the line and maybe do things with. So what do you call it? Now I forgot which direction I was going. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
No
Oh yeah,
worries.
pod match. So there are people that I keep it simple, and
Mhm.
you should, if you're on there, you should go on, and I'm giving you the couple of things to go check out. If you look far enough, you can tell I'm a celebrity. You can
Mhm.
tell that I am verified celebrity. You can
Yeah.
also tell that I have a very extensive history in a lot of different things.
Mhm.
And that's not even everything. That's like just a little bit. Now that being said, a lot of people they just skip over it and they deny the, what do you call
Mm.
it, the like
They
they
pass
unmatch.
on
Yeah,
it.
they pass on it,
Yeah.
and that's cool. That's
Yeah.
absolutely cool. But the funny thing is that these same people, they I will always go back and say, out of curiosity, why did you decide to pass? Now
Yeah.
now the fools who decide not to respond to me, okay, no problem. I'm just doing it as a learning. I want to
Mm.
learn. So what is it that it was? And there was one couple who, when they first saw it, they judged, and
Mhm.
we talked about it on air. We
Oh.
had, but they judged, and then I said, hey, look, I can understand where you're coming from, I can appreciate it, but don't judge the book by its cover. You might want to read a couple of the pages, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And they did, and they looked back and they go, oh my god, this guy's very active in the community. I've been given awards upon awards for giving back, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And because
Yeah.
again, it was that kind of a show. And they had me on. and they apologized to me on air.
Hmm.
Can you imagine? They
I love that
apologized to me on
though.
air, and I thought that was the most amazing thing. And I said, we will do things together forever. And they like, we learned a valuable lesson, and we're sorry. And it was great, and we had a great interview.
That's
So
amazing.
it's my a message to make sure that people know, if you're doing something, don't judge a book by its cover. You never
Mm-hmm.
know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? It's like Forrest Gump says, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? So, you should
Absolutely.
always look. Sorry to go on long-winded, but
No, I think that's really important. It's important to remember that we all judge others
right.
based on appearance or a name or a photograph. And
Mhm.
how can we kind of check ourselves? Like, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Absolutely.
You.
Absolutely. People are very judgmental, and that's okay. I have a
Mhm.
lot of haters out there, and I've got a lot of people that love me, and and
Yeah.
and it's okay. You're entitled to your own opinion. And the thing is when you let the haters hate you and you don't give a damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What all they're doing is giving you additional promotion. Talk about me all you want. I don't care. Because when people tune in and realize, or they check me out and they go, all right, whatever you said was obviously not the real thing. You know what
Right.
I mean? Now you're the one that looks like an idiot, not me,
Yeah.
But again, I enjoy, kind of just letting people be themselves, and I'm unapologetically myself. That's it. I try to put my best foot forward. I try to
Mhm.
be helpful to people. I try to, I give back very often, whether it's, to charities, or with my time, or helping to get donations, or doing
Yeah.
donations, or whatever it is. I'm very, very, that I'm that kind of a guy. So I don't think that somebody who does all that could be too bad of a person. I would assume.
Agreed. I agree with you on that one.
I would assume.
Well, I'm
So
going to take a sharp left turn and ask you,
sounds good.
what's your earliest memory of being creative?
Um, let's see. I was, I remember different pieces and bits of my acting when I was a kid. And I
Mhm.
remember that I had to kind of I had to act for auditions. So
Mhm.
technically, I guess you would consider that as my first, I guess, time of being creative. You know what I mean? Like in front of other people, like my creativity was blossoming.
Yeah.
But maybe, but if you want to really get technical, the first real memory of my creativity was I started drawing, and I wanted to be a famous comic book artist. And
Mm.
so I was really into like Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff like that. And I would draw, and I created an entire universe, and all these crazy characters. And I still have a lot of the artwork today, thank God. And what do you call it? It was not bad. They were really cool characters. So for me, that was the furthest, creative, where I actually did, created all the characters, backstories, and I had to be like 7 or 8 when I started that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's if you wanna like surpass like the acting thing, because again, I was probably like a puppet being told what to do, but
Fair.
I did that myself, the art work.
Nice.
So yeah,
I love it. I love these stories that people have from childhood of, whatever imagination, how kids, we have these incredible imaginations that can turn something into anything. You know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
cardboard box is the preferred present than what came in the cardboard box.
Right, 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 right.
But
That's
that's
true.
so great that you have the artwork that you did, and it also sounds like it something that you brought with you from childhood and have turned into another
Yes.
opportunity.
Well, it's wonderful, and I have wound. I found myself speaking about it on a lot of different things lately. Where it's funny that my life, a lot of the things have come full circle.
Mhm.
I started with the acting and so forth, and I apparently had an agent when I was a kid, because I found all the contracts. I had a couple of agents, weirdest thing ever. And now years later, I finally decided, all right, I'm going to do a TV and film agent. So I'm working with a big player here in New York City, and I took him on. So that came full circle. The comic books, what do you call it? You know, the full circle. Here I am. I have a comic book. I own a comic book company. I have comics. I am a comic book character. And Stan was a good, you know, one of my closest friends. And so you've got that. You know, music. I mean, again, I toured the world in music, and then, you know, just the people that I looked up to when I was playing are now friends of mine, you know. So like, you know, same thing with pro wrestling, and, you know, like, so everything kind of comes, you know, around again. It's just the weirdest thing. It's crazy how life works. It really is.
But it also really sounds like you didn't let go of your dreams from childhood. Like they became a part of who you were at such an age that, and you kept them, which is very rare, I think, for a lot of people. I think over the years, we, through whatever sources, get our dreams squashed or told it's time to let that go because that's not a, quote, real career, or what are you going to actually make money doing, you know? And to not let go of what you love to do is very unique and super special, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, you know, you don't lose your dreams. You know, your dreams are basically, you only lose your dreams if you allow yourself to lose your dreams. How about that? You know, and most people are afraid to take that step and take that dive into the you know, great ocean of you know, wonder, where they have no idea what's going to happen because they're scared if they go out into that ocean, they're going to drown. And you know, at the end of the day, there's a good chance that you're going to swim, you know, and if it's a sink or swim type of a situation, you should learn to swim, and learn to swim quick. You know, I've been Brimstone, you know, for the longest time, and you know, where I have worked, you know, positions years and years and years ago, I have not worked for somebody else in the longest of times because I want to work for myself. You know, I can't. Why am I going to work and put my hard 200% into somebody else's business when I can put it into my own? And what's funny is that a lot of people are like, oh, that's not real. You're not just. Listen, I might not make money for 3 months, but the paycheck I get in the 4th month is more than some people make in a couple of years.
Right.
So yeah, it does pay off, and it does take time for it to pay off. You need to work on it. You need to bust your hump to get there. And you can't let people say, you know, you can't do that. No, because all that's going to do, like, to me, all that does is gets me all fired up. Like, okay, well, we'll just see about that. You know,
right.
We'll just see about that. You know, and other people, it eats them up. You know, and I'll put it out there, especially because it works for this show. You know, parents mean well. They love you. Most people, you know, I'm sorry for the people that don't, but parents, they love you, and they mean well, and they want the best for you. They don't always have the best advice, you know, because the fact is they don't know, because they have not walked a mile in your shoes. So if you want to be a writer, you want to be a dancer, you want to be an athlete, you want to be you know, an engineer, whatever you want to be that's outside of the norm, quote unquote norm, you do it, and you don't let anybody tell you otherwise. They are used to, most people are used to the 9-to-5 job. And there's nothing wrong with the 9-to-5 job. I just spoke about this earlier today. There's nothing wrong with the 9-to-5 job. And if you do have a 9-to-5 job, at least hopefully you're a little creative with it, and that you're not, you know, hating yourself and hating the you know, what you do. But at the end of the day, you know, like, oh my God, I've lost track, but I'm there. I'll pick it up. I promise I'll pick it up. You know, okay. So, but for you know, people that have only worked 9-to-5s, and they have that security, which is not even security, because you can lose your job at any moment. Not only can you lose your job, they can fire you, and, you know, and decide they're going out of business or whatever it is, and they don't care. And then you're stuck. And then where's your security? You know, and if you're working paycheck to paycheck, like most families are in America, let's be straight here. Most families are living paycheck to paycheck, and we found that out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, when you've got a situation like that, well, guess what? Now what? now you got to go find another job. You got to go work for somebody else. You got to rebuild yourself up over and over and over again. So why not spend the time and work for yourself, build your own business, and take your lumps until you make the money, and then you're building your own business that's going to give you your bread for the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hope I'm making sense.
You are making sense. No, I get it. And yeah, to follow your creative ideas.
Yeah.
We all have them. We spend a lot of time discounting them as we get older. And what I hear you saying is follow the creative idea, allow it to turn into something to guide you. And yes, there's going to be uncertainty and there's going to be challenge. And with all of that, there will also be great reward.
And you learn so much. You learn so much. People look at me and they go, "You really done all this?" Yeah. Yeah. You don't even know half the stuff that I did that I've done. That's just a little bit, and how much do people really want to read on me? But like I started years ago, and I'm gonna re-pick it up soon because it wasn't the right time to release it at that point. But I started doing the autobiography because a lot of fans wanted to know and learn about stuff. So I think I'm gonna wind up getting back on that soon. But it's one of those things where like you can learn. You learn from the stories, learn from my mistakes, from my partners in Grindhouse Radio. They're half my age. Maybe a little bit old, a little bit more, a little bit less than half my age, but make me feel so old. But they, I tell them all the time, learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
You'd be foolish not to listen to me when I tell you don't do this or do that. Because if I tell you to do something, there's a reason. There's a method to my madness. There's other people that they'll tell you to do something, and whatever. When I tell you, it's because you work with me and I want you to move forward, because if you move forward, we all move forward together. If I move forward, you guys are coming with me. Well, you guys should help move me forward as well. Right?
Well, this has been such a treat to chat with you. I have a couple more questions, and I'm really curious, what does it feel like to you to be creative?
It gets me excited. It gets my heart pumping. It gets me, I get very like in the moment. Even if it's not for myself, like I am very guilty of jumping in on other people's things. Like, it's a bad habit, but it's good because I've helped a lot of people out. Which is why I've also done like a lot of mentoring over the years, whether it be in business or be in entertainment. I've done mentoring a lot. So like for me, I'll take an idea and I love kind of figuring out, all right, well, this is what you're doing. This is what you can be doing. This is what you should be doing. And this is the next natural, progression from that, and blah, blah, and I get excited about it. And then I get passionate about it. Like, you need to do this. Like, listen to me and you will be so successful. And the positive is like at least 80 to 85% of the people, when I speak to them and tell them about it, they do listen and they are successful with what we've discussed. But I do that, it's funny because the people that don't listen and then they drop, and fail. And I'm like, well, there's your seeds, baby. There's your seeds. Go plant a tree, and maybe you'll succeed. And climb that tree, you figure out what's next. But, like if I tell you something, it's because I really truly believe that it's a going to work for you. For me, creativity, that goes into it, it just gets your blood boiling and, it gets you excited. That's just me, man. I'm very passionate about that. And I've given away way too many $1 million ideas to people who are, getting started or who are already in it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And if people want to learn more about all of the things that you do, and how would they go about doing that?
So the hub for pretty much everything that happens in the world of Brimstone, you can go to therealbrimstone.com. Again, that's therealbrimstone.com. I have everything up there, all the social media, the everything from wrestling to the music to this, everything that I've done. A couple of things are still not up there. Like I don't have my old coffee line up there and some other things. but it will be up there soon.
Yeah.
So and I am very active on my Instagram at the real Brimstone. If you follow me and you interact with me, you engage with me, I promise you it's me talking to you. I love speaking with you people. I love speaking to the fans. I help people out. I if you have a question, ask, what I mean, as long as it's respectful,
Hmm.
I will most definitely guarantee you I will answer. Even if it's a quick answer, I will answer you. And it's me. It's not my intern. It's not my wife. It's not my assistant. It's me. What do you call it? So please definitely contact me, engage in everything. And if you're interested, the grindhouseradio.com, if you're into pop culture, 7
Perfect.
p.m. Eastern Standard, every Thursday night.
Nice. And I'll put all of this in the show notes so people can easily
Yay.
access all of it. And again, thank you so much for joining me and chatting with me about creativity. It's been such a delight.
You lie. You couldn't stand me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. And listen, anything we can do creative together, it will always be a pleasure and an honor and a privilege. So we should definitely stay in touch.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.